We do. Okay. All right. It is my supreme pleasure to introduce to you Julia Gordon-Bramer. Julia is an author, and her styles that she crosses between Greg Braden, who brings spirituality to science, and Jen Sincero, who brings spirituality to being a badass. I love that. With personality, clarity, and wit, this author, poet, and scholar, and professional tarot card reader has spent the last decade interpreting Sylvia Plath's work through mysticism. She is listed in St. Louis's top 10 psychics for Psychic St. Louis and is called St. Louis's #1 fortune teller by CBS. She is an ordained minister in the Universal Life Church, Ho'oponopono certified, and a member of the American Tarot Association, and an accomplished creative writer and poet in her own right, and was called St. Louis's best local poet in 2013 by the Riverfront Times. Plus, she is currently working on Diary of a Tarot Reader, reflecting on some of her most impactful tarot sessions with clients. So great. Julia, let me unmute you. Okay, great. Julia, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I do appreciate you having me.
Great. And here, I'm going to just turn it. There we go. Before we go into the mysticism of COVID-19, I was just wondering if you could share briefly how you started on your path as a tarot card reader.
Sure. I have been reading for over 40 years. I got my first deck when I was 16, and that was about the same time that I started having my first premonitions. Just random things, you know. I can't say that I was on any very serious spiritual path as a teenager. I was being a teenager, but I did know that I was a little different and a little more tuned in to my dreams, to what I considered to be waking dreams, which I later learned to be premonitions. And as I got older, you know, it's my belief, I think everyone has a certain amount of intuition. You know, I think of it, it's kind of like singing. Like everyone can sing. Some are better than others. Some it's like, oh, please stop, you know, and others you could listen to for days. I'm probably a little past the middle there. I don't know. Certainly I've met amazing people who you don't have to say a word to, and they can name people in your families, and you know, and I'm not that kind of intuitive. I think of myself, I mean, I think my clients consider me to be more of life coach, helping them with their own intuition. When I work with my clients, it's very much kind of a joint thing. You know, I tell them what I'm seeing, what I'm getting, and they're filling in the blanks a lot of times. Yeah, I've been professional, you know, of my 40 years, I've been professional a little over 10 now. But tarot's just always been a part of me.
Great. Well, you are definitely a trailblazer starting 40 years ago. Who, was it a friend or relative that introduced you to it, or how did you actually come across your first tarot deck?
You know, it was just divine intervention. It was a hot summer day, and I was hanging out at the mall, a nice, cool, air-conditioned place, 1970s. There were no New Age shops in the 1970s, not spiritual places. I walked into a magic shop, and I'm talking rabbits out of hats and sponge balls and, you know, that kind of thing. And this young woman behind the counter who, you know, in my mind, she was so knowledgeable and mystical. She was probably about 21, you know, but she said, "Do you want to see real magic?" And she, you know, beckoned me over and she showed me this deck. And I just put down all my babysitting money on the spot. And that was the beginning of the end for me. And I'm self-taught. been reading, but other things have infused. I study A Course in Miracles. I'm a student of Buddhism and the Tao. A little bit of a cafeteria plan, you might say. I've read a lot of Michael's books. Yeah, and I love how the tarot mirrors all of this. As I talked to you before we got started, the Kabbalah is very much a part of the tarot, and there's so much detail that it's a lot. That would be a long discussion, but yeah, I just love the synchronicity of really all the practices of mysticism and spirituality the tarot works with and complements them.
And definitely, I agree, the Kabbalah is a deep rabbit hole to get into. But without further ado, I would love to hear and have you share with us your insights regarding the mysticism behind COVID-19.
Yeah. Okay. So when I realized that I started to see the pandemic before I knew what I was seeing. And tarot is a very personal thing. So, I would never do a reading for like the whole world because that's just too much energy and too many different energies. But yeah, I was looking at some of my clients, and over, I would see the Sun card in reverse. So I brought a large version. This is the Sun card. When I say it's in reverse, it's simply upside down. So the Sun right side up is a happy card. It's good times and celebrations, and occasionally it can be the birth of a child. In reverse, it has some more complicated meanings. I read it often as burnout, as extreme situations, over intensity. It can sometimes mean lies, do with that what you will. But I kept seeing it in reverse in this phase. Well, as we had more and more talk of the coronavirus, I realized, oh, the corona is a word that comes from the sun. Sun and stars have a corona. And then I realized the Sun card is number 19. And how interesting with, COVID-19. So that got me on my little Kabbalistic thing of looking at the numerology. The number 19 in ancient times means the number of surrender. In Islam, there are 19 angels that guard the gates of hell. It's pretty loaded, The next card after the Sun is the Judgment card, which is Judgment Day. And so in processing all of this and kind of thinking about where we are and what's happening, I definitely believe that this is a transformative time for us, a transition. In past radio shows and things, I was talking, a couple of years ago about Donald Trump, not to get political because I'm not going there, but he's the perfect president for this time. And I said that because we were ending the age of Pisces and moving into the age of Aquarius. And there's what we consider to be a transition time of usually around 33 years, something like that. You're the astrologer, so Samaya, so maybe you can contribute to that. But I see that transition time as the Tower card, which is probably the scariest card in the whole tarot. It's it's very black and it has lightning striking a building and bodies are falling off it. And I always said, love him or hate him, Donald Trump is the perfect president for this transition time because the Tower means the foundation is wrong, the building has to come down, it's time to rebuild. And, and how interesting, Trump Tower as a symbol. So, the universe is just having a big cosmic laugh over all of this, I think. But we've known for 50 or more years that whoever's president, Republican, Democrat, they're bought and paid for by Goldman Sachs. We know this. You're kidding yourself if you think otherwise. And so, it's different now. And times are changing. And so around the end of the last stage, which was December 21st, 2012, and then into when Trump became president and everything, this is volatile. This is everything is different. We've seen Brexit. We've seen, the fires in Australia. I mean, environmentally, socially, politically, everything is just clear the table.
Yes, definitely. We are, and this is something that we've talked about too. It's like it's a very root chakra year, and all of the structures, whatever your structure is, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, however it's showing up, is all coming up for reevaluation. And yeah, definitely. I mean, our government, our financial system, our healthcare system, these things have been broken for a long time. So it's, how do we rebuild that, and how do we bring in spirit with it? So it's in the highest and best interest for all people involved.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I saw, as I said before, I knew that it was the pandemic. I saw some things in people's readings beyond that sun in reverse card. I had one client, she's a regular client. She's an international entertainer, so she's all over the world. And she had asked me if late February was a good time to get some surgery done. And I said, yeah, do it soon. It looks like you're going to have a nice long recovery time now. And she said, that's impossible. My schedule's loaded. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm not seeing you busy. March doesn't look too busy for you. I think you'll be fine. And we didn't know what I was talking about. I had another guy who was planning a big grand opening for his business. And it was supposed to be mid-March, and he had been planning this for a year, and everything was on schedule. And I said, I hate to break it to you, but I see a major delay. And he said, what? And he's like, that's impossible. And I said, I don't know what to tell you. I added cards. I got the justice card. I said, it's legal. It's like a legal problem here. And he's like, I have met all my licensure. This doesn't make sense. Everything, all the inspections are passing. Well, now we know it was a restaurant he was opening, and can't start a business now, So yeah, it's been fascinating because I didn't know what I was seeing, but now it's explaining itself.
Next, and that's trusting what comes up and how you read it, and you're just the messenger coming through.
Exactly. Yeah.
Great. Why don't we go ahead and do you want to do a spread for the week of April 13th to give everybody a little overview of what's going on and coming up?
Absolutely.
Okay, great.
So
and then while you're getting the cards ready too, with the sun card and the coronavirus too, especially I was thinking with the sun card reversed in its crown, but also crowning. So when a woman is giving birth, they're actually crowning. And so it's like, look at what we're giving birth to right now as well.
It's really beautiful. Yeah, I like that. And and just to mention also with judgment, going into judgment following it, this is considered a beautiful, happy card. These spirits are being called by God, and they're lifting out of their coffin, of their dark time. So it is a resurrection card, which we just came out of Easter and Passover. Passover, just to quickly comment on that, I'm not Jewish, but I read up on it, and the Jews were freed from slavery, but also one of the ways that they were freed was God brought down 10 plagues on the Egyptians. So there's that again, that correspondence again. Anyway, looking at the week. So we start with the 10 of Wands. And this is a card of a lot of responsibility, carrying a heavy load. We're managing it. It's not super easy, but we are doing it. Whether that's in your personal life or professionally, that's just kind of where I see us beginning. I did the horseshoe spread. So it's 7 cards. So think of 1 card for each day. So we're looking to be starting today. So next I have Page of Wands. So this is about our child energy and our playfulness. And I do think, maybe even especially tomorrow, if we look at a card for each day, is let's explore that. Let's play. Let's take this time off and do something that feels good and entirely, different for you. The third card we have is the 5 of Cups. Now, this is such an interesting card. People see it and they think, it looks very miserable. He is staring at these 3 spilled cups, but 2 behind him are just fine. So I like to remind my clients that it's a card of the blessings that we still have, and to turn away from looking at what's wrong and to look at what's, what we have gratitude for. What we put our mind on grows. It's the first law of spiritual, practice. So we want to grow the good. The top card, so this would be the 4th day here. We're all going to lose some money in this. This is the 5 of Pentacles. And we're all going to be feeling it. And I know most of us are, because even if you're still employed, people around you, you have concerns over, and nothing's easy to get at the moment. And so we're all looking at that. I would like to encourage us not to. I would like to encourage us, I read recently that the poorest American, which is probably like a homeless person, right? The poorest American is still 30 times more wealthy than someone in a third world country. Mm. So that homeless person in America can still probably get clean drinking water and can still probably get some shelter and food handouts and that kind of thing. So, we're so blessed here, and we've got to really own it and know it. So card number 5 in this week is the 6 of Swords in reverse. Now this is frustrating because this is a transition card and this family is going somewhere. In reverse, not going anywhere, kind of stuck, quarantine. It does not look to me. I pulled some cards which are on my website, which I can give you my website at the end if you like. And I did a reading on just how things were affecting me, and in the time frame of how long this looked to go, I pulled the number 4. Well, at the time I was reading it, it was still March, and I was saying, okay, I'm praying it's 4 weeks, Well, now I'm starting to think 4 months. And I was a little iffy with time. But anyway, so we're going to be stuck for a little bit here. Yeah. Now,
I don't know if there's any good medium right now that any good divination tool you can use for timing right now, because I think things are just changing so fast.
Yeah, and I've always believed it's less about chronological time, which is a human construct. We made that up to measure our little world, but in spirituality, it's more this happens, then this happens, then this happens. So your growth can happen even at an exponential rate, or not. Depends on what your journey is. Day 6 is the Strength card. I love this card. I think it's one of the most beautiful ones in the tarot. She tames the beast, and she does it not with brutality. She does it with love and gentleness. So, you got this. We've all got this. We can handle it. Some people are going to check out. Some people are not up for these lessons. Maybe they don't need these lessons. That's not a judgment on them not being worthy, or but some people will leave us, and it is going to be painful. Now, my last card is Death in reverse. Now, I do like to say the Death card is very scary looking, but if you know anything about tarot, the Death card is not about physical death. It's about transformation. It's saying the old life is behind me. It's gone. It's over. And I am in a new place. But in reverse, which ours is, it says we're kind of stuck in this quagmire of the transition. So we're not done yet. We got some more work to do, more healing to do. But I think, I think we're finding our power, we're finding our strength, and I feel really good about that. And we're getting back to having fun. When children always know how to have fun. You look at the refugee children in the camps, and they still find a way to play. We need to find that in ourselves, I think.
Definitely learning to sing and dance during difficult times really says a lot about your spirit and character, and it's a nice example for other people. Great. Well, thank you, Julie.
Would you like me to?
Go ahead.
Oh, I was saying, would you like me to take some questions?
Yeah, here, let me go back. There's been a lot of wonderful comments because we're coming to a close here. So I don't think we'll have time, unfortunately, to get to the mini readings, but maybe we can have you come back and do some mini readings for us. But all the feedback here has been wonderful. Going back to here, let me see here. Let's see. I'm sorry, I'm going through the chats. Just a lot of confirmation regarding what you were saying about the COVID-19. Corona in Italian and Latin means crown. Fascinating insights. We're definitely in a time of rebuilding. So enlightening, thank you. Let's see, a lot of just loving everything that you're saying and doing. And blessings. Thanks for the reminder that we are blessed with all that we have, being in the shelter in place, and we have electricity, we have water, we have access to food. I mean, you're right. I mean, we have more blessings just with this, and we feel constrained than most people in the third world. Let's see. Somebody else pulled the death card today, and they said it felt good. Right now is the time to do the work. It's time to get unstuck. And another person pulled I am fun card today. So you're spot on with a lot of other people, what they've been pulling for the day and the week as well. Thank you for the reading. I would love to know if the time has come for me. Okay. We do have a quick question. I apologize. We're not going to have time to get to it, but people were asking, sorry, Mary, but people were asking for your contact information. I did put that in the chat. So it's Julia Gordon-Bramer, her name, and it's Bramer is her website. I have her website. You can email her at tarot@nighttimes.com. Phone number is 314-517-0158. Again, it's all in the comment in the chat for the comment. Julia, thank you. You are amazing. Time goes so fast. But thank you for sharing your insight with us. I love the mysticism on the COVID-19. Thank you so much. All right. And then.
Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you.